وعلى من المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما لهم ألا يعذبهم الله وهم يصدون عن المسجد الحرام وما كانوا أولياءه إن أولياء إلا المتقون ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A quick comment or request that I was asked. One of the sisters asked me before the program to ask mu'mineen, those who want to help and participate with a campaign that they are raising funds for the needy, for basically an organization that they work with, and they are building homes and helping families. Those who do want to help and participate, please speak to the sister afterwards. I will those who are interested, please let me know and I'll direct you inshallah accordingly after the majlis inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. One of the puzzles of today's science, and in fact a puzzle that has always existed, is how do we think and where is the center of thinking or the thought process of human beings. This has always in fact puzzled scientists and neurologists and neuroscientists. They still do not and cannot pinpoint and say this is exactly how we think or where we think. Yes, the aql or the brain, if you want to call it the aql or dimagh in Arabic, if we use the term dimagh, which doesn't weigh much, and a piece of basically fat, a lump of fat cells accumulated in the skull in a certain shape. Is that where all the thinking happens? And is that how we actually think? And they have not been able to actually pinpoint and basically give a definite answer and say this is how we think and this is where we think. Yes, the best explanation in fact that I can deduce, and the best way I could put it, is to say that this the brain is more like a photocopy machine, and the thinking is like the computer connected to the photocopy machine, a printer. So the display, whether it be the printer or the monitor. So the monitor shows you certain things, and certain products, certain results of a computer may come out through the monitor, or certain results may come out through the printer. But the thinking of the computer does not happen in the monitor, does it? Neither does it happen in the printer. It's somewhere else. This is the closest I could put it to understand how they explain, in fact, the thinking process of human beings and how do we think and so on. Why are we concerned? How do we think? There is a relationship, definitely a direct relationship between our thinking and our emotions, and a relationship between thinking, emotions, and actions, which reflect itself in the physical world through the body, whether it be something we say or something we do. That is the reflection of it. The body becomes more like the monitor or the printer that produces the outcome of the thinking and the feelings, emotions that we may have, and therefore it reflects itself in the action. Therefore, if we want to control the actions or the reactions of the body, we have to control the emotions. And in order to control the emotions, we have to control the thinking, because they're directly connected. This is why one of the meanings given to the ayah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلْيَنظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ, let mankind look into their food. One of the meanings given, despite the physical or the very surface meaning, which is the food that we eat for the physical body, because we eat the food, we need the food for the physical body to survive. This is the surface meaning, but we know the Quran has depth within depth. Batnun fi batn, according to the narration. Therefore, it goes beyond that physical or that initial surface meaning. When we go deeper, we will realize that the meaning, according to the ahadith, in fact, is the food for thought. What you feed your mind. That, in fact, affects how we feel, and as a result, it affects how we behave, how we act or interact. This is one way of looking at it. In the, perhaps, Islamic ethics, they also look at it from a different perspective. They speak of the ruh, and they also speak of basically they speak of the body again, al-jasad. Then in terms of the emotional part, they speak of the nafs, and then they speak of the ruh. Different ways of looking at it. The bottom line is, we feed our mind, we have the thinking occurring as a result of what we feed our mind. And through those thoughts that we think and we process and we research and so on, we gain the knowledge and we research it and we basically review it within our minds. Then we have the emotional connection with it. And through those emotions, we end up having the reactions and the actions and reactions, which displays itself in our basically behavior through our physical body, what we say and what we do physically. If we want to now go back and look at it from a different angle, we have to see the actions, reactions. Why do people behave in a certain way? Why do people say certain things? Why would somebody say, for example, hurtful words? Someone, let's say a husband or a wife, a partner, a friend, a family member, saying something that hurts. Why would they say it? Doing something that hurts. Why would they do it? You do something that may hurt someone. Let us think of how it happens. Again, if we trace it down to its source, we may be able to control it. If we don't trace it, and if we just look at basically the symptoms, and we try and treat the symptoms without treating the cause of the symptoms, we will continuously deal with symptoms and we will never deal with the actual disease or actual problem, the virus or the bacteria. We will continuously deal with the symptoms. Say, for example, you have some sort of a rash on your body. Okay? That rash may be a reaction to something you eat or something you breathe or something that is in your body, a virus, a bacteria, or whatever it may be. If we simply deal with the rash on the surface, continue to put, I don't know, creams or put band-aids because it's now, becomes a wound and it's bleeding. So if I just deal with the surface, I will never solve the problem. Now, the example we often say, when it comes to examples, we don't debate the example because the example falls short of the reality. Because at the same time, the body is dealing with the problem. If I don't deal with it here, if I don't deal with it myself, the body is dealing with it. And often the body will treat it. Our bodies are very, in fact, there's a hadith, الشيء بالشيء يذكر, as they say. There's a hadith, I believe it's from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. He says, one of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'een, he says, when it comes to illnesses, don't use medicine unless you need it. Basically, in other words, let the body deal with it. Your body can and most likely will deal with it. Don't use the dawa when you have a don't use the medicine unless you need it. Because the body deals with it. So that's why I'm saying the example is not 100% applicable because, again, the body will treat it even if I don't treat it. But when it comes to our behavioral issues, when it comes to our ethics and morality, the body will not treat it. There's no mechanism in my body that is going to treat it. It doesn't work that way. Yes, there are angels who may be helping me. Yes, there are prayers of parents and prayers of mu'mineen who would help. Nonetheless, one has to resolve and deal with their own issues. So coming to any behavioral issue that we may have, and we all need to do tazkiyah. Nobody should ever think that they're perfect. Coming to these issues, we need to think about what was the cause of my action or reaction. Why did I say what I said? Why did I do what I did? Why did I get angry and say hurtful words? Anger is an emotion. Why did it occur? If we come back to the emotional part, I did something I shouldn't have done. I said something I shouldn't have said. Why did it get to that? I come back to the emotional part. I had certain emotions that caused it. If I assess those, this is coming back to the thinking. If I assess them, I would then recognize the source of them in my thoughts and my thinking and the process that happens in the mind. Again, where exactly it happens, Allahu A'lam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to ulul albab in the Holy Quran very frequently. Refers to ulul albab, the ones with the lub. Lub is typically translated into intellect or aql, those who can think with intellect. Where does it happen? Lub is also the core. You know, when you have a fruit, you have the shells and you have in Farsi we also use it, they say lub matlab. Huh? Basically the inner part of the core of it, the most significant part. When you open the fruit, the fruits that have the main thing is inside, because some fruits is the other way around, yeah? In any case, again, la niqash, when you give examples, look at the applicable side, not non-applicable. In any case, coming to the core of it, the lub, ulul albab, you'll find that is what matters, the lub. Where is it exactly? It doesn't really matter. It's the fact that we are thinking and reflecting that causes our emotional reaction of those thoughts that eventually causes our physical actions and reactions. How do I treat it? How do I deal with it? There's a few things I want to share, and I want to be brief and also have time for Q&A inshallah afterwards. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So what can I do to help the thinking, help the mind? One of the in fact best recipes and remedies is dhikrullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Dhikr in general, specifically reflecting, again, dhikr is not something I just say on the lips. No, I'm talking about dhikr that is mental and emotional, that it has that mental and emotional connection. We often read dua and we read Quran. We read adhkar. 100 times earlier I was sharing the significance of salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Salawat is a dhikr, and one of the heaviest in fact. However, most of our dhikr is on the lip service basically side, is on the physical part. It stays within the physical dimension, most of our dhikr. Habitually we do the dhikr and it stays in the physical side. It doesn't go further. It doesn't go into the emotional or the rational, basically the intellectual part. Most of our dhikr. This is a reality, and I'm saying it for myself. Perhaps you are better than me and you have deeper dhikr. But unfortunately, most of the time, we're used, for example, something that upsets you happens, and you say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. Or maybe you might say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Some people may even limit it to even not the illa billah, La hawla wa la quwwah, which is in fact a problem. Yeah, you have not, basically there is no power, no might, and you don't even say except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But most of us, we don't even reflect on what we're saying. There's no emotional part with it. It's just physical. What I mean by dhikr, that changes in fact the way we think and then affects our emotional side, which in fact in its turn reflects on our reactions, actions and reactions, it is the deep dhikr. One that, for instance, in dua simat, which is recommended on Friday evening or late Friday afternoon before Maghrib, the last hour of the last period of the day of Friday. Dua simat, very beautiful dua. We say, "Oh Allah, I ask you with the name that إذا دعيت به على مغالق أبواب السماء للفتح بالرحمة فتحت." The name that if you're called with that name, how many of us we actually think of this? If we recite the dua, how many of us actually think of the meanings and the depth of the meaning of this? I ask you with the name through which, if that name is called on the closed gates of heavens to open through your mercy, it opens. Recognizing that with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything could happen. Isn't it through the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that awliyaullah and anbiya'ullah would walk on water? Now they often speak of Isa ala nabina wa alayhi salam, Jesus, peace be upon him, to have walked on water. That wasn't just for him. Awliyaullah would. Anbiya and awsiya could. And how? Simply with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Changes the formative way of the universe and the behavior of the matter in the universe. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes things. How does the miracle work? How does the sea or the ocean split? How did any of the miracles? With the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isa alayhi salam, again in the Holy Quran, he says that I bring the dead back to life bi'idhnillah, with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأُبْرِئُ الْأَكْمَهَ وَالْأَبْرَسَ وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. I cure the born blind. I cure the born with skin diseases and born blind. And I bring the dead back to life with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Through the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the power. If we recognize this, dhikr will change everything. When one is upset with something and says the statement which is La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says in a beautiful hadith, he says that I am surprised by one who is maghmoom, who is saddened. Something saddens them. Why don't they escape to the statement, to the dua that Allah subhanahu ila qawlihi ta'ala وَذَنُّونِ إِذْ ذَهَبَ مُغَاضِبًا فظن أن لن نقدر عليه فنادى في الظلمات أن لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين فاستجبنا له ونجيناه من الغم وكذلك ننجي المؤمنين. He says, I am surprised by one who has gham, which we use in Farsi, in Arabic, perhaps in Urdu, I'm not sure. Gham, sadness, something saddens them. Something that has deep emotional affection on them, affects them deeply, emotionally. Why don't they escape to the statement or to the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Because the Imam says, because I heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that say, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ. Now is the statement just verbal? My question, is it just uttering it verbally? Or is it some sort of reflection on the statement, on the ayah? These are signs, ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, it's deep. That there is La ilaha illa anta. And reflecting on what? Subhanaka. Inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Often we are saddened by things that happen to us. We're thinking that I don't deserve this. Why is this happening to me? In this statement we're saying, no, I deserve worse than this. Inni kuntu min al-zalimin. I am the oppressor. I deserve this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then responds and relieves them. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ. You see the difference now, how we think and how we see things and how we perceive things? Often we're saddened because what? Because I don't deserve this. I deserve better than this. Whatever it may be that saddens you. You feel like you're not happy in your business, in your marital relationship, in many things in life. Something goes bad, something goes wrong, relationship issues with children, with parents. You know, often it could be this. And the cure to it is, it's my actions. إِنِّي كُنْتُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. That's an example. The way we think affects our emotions, which in turn affects our reactions. Often if somebody ridicules us, says something that typically would hurt, what happens is we get offended. And often we react. We may say something or even do something to basically get them back. Revenge. All of that could stop with what? The thinking initially. Where did the reaction come from? Where did the emotion come from? One of the core reasons why we often have, we get offended is kibr, arrogance, pride. How dare he does that to me? Who am I? If you have humbleness, in fact, earlier today I shared part of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, to somebody who was asking him, Ya Rasulullah, is it okay for me? Will you allow me to wish for death? He says death is a long journey. It's a long hadith, inshallah, I'll share it another time. Then he says you have to prepare for each of those stations. For one of the stations, which is the su'al of munkarin wa nakir, the station of the questioning in the grave. He says you have to prepare 4 things. One of them, he says you need to make sure you're humble for everybody. أَن يَتَوَاضَعَ لِكُلِّ أَحَدٍ. Humble yourself. If you humble yourself, if I humble myself, and this is a message for all of us, including myself, if we humble ourselves, then how they treat us won't make me so upset and feel so bad that I want to now get back at them and how dare they do that to me. No, humble yourself. Don't think so big of yourself. Who am I? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, beautifully he puts it. He says if they are offending you and therefore they're sinning, if by what they're doing ma'siyah, if they're being oppressive, which is a ma'siyah, think about that, the fact that they have disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who am I? فَإِن يُكَذِّبُوكَ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the messenger to make him feel better about the way people are dealing with him, if they're denying your message, they've denied messengers before you, And if they are not obeying you, they have disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah min qabl. Before they disobey you, before they disrespect you, they are being disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who am I? If we think of it this way, that the weight is a lot lighter. We don't feel that much of a weight on our shoulders that, how dare they do that to me? And then out of a sudden the vengeance, the steam starts coming out, and the feeling of revenge, which often yurdi in the hadith we are told, it makes us fall in big traps of shaitan. Some of the biggest traps of shaitan, we fall in. It's all coming back to the thought process. And we need to do that. We need to take those steps back. I have certain emotions that may cause certain actions or reactions. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. Nowadays they use meditation. Take a deep breath and so on. Believe me, all of that is in our ahadith, or not all of it, all of the applicable ones, all of the valuable ones, all of the good ones are there, or better than that is in our ahadith. Take a step back, take a deep breath, go and perform wudu, and think, reflect. It may change everything. And therefore, it changes the way we act or react to things. Then we make the right decision. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, His awliya, His friends, we spoke of those who walk on water. They have such a power to walk on water, and it may be available to us. We have some of our great scholars and urafa. If you read in their life and what they have done and what they have achieved, and it's not far, believe me. I went for istikhara from one of our great scholars in Qum. Simply by opening the Quran, I just told him I need istikhara. He opened the Quran, he told me, you need to be more loyal, more dutiful to your parents. They need you more. How did he read my mind? Literally. My istikhara was about what? I was thinking of either traveling back then to London for studies, or going to my father and staying with them and supporting the family because they needed a little bit of support and so on. Although they were saying to me, no, you go and study. They were insisting that I go and study. But I felt that they are sacrificing, but they need me. So I thought I'll do istikhara. I went and said to him, he opens the Quran, he says to me, and I didn't tell him what is the istikhara about. He simply says to me, your parents need you, be more dutiful. Barre walidain behtaras. It's more important to be dutiful to your parents at this point, at this stage. Subhanallah. Awliyaullah. He could tell how. ينظر بعين الله اتقوا فراسة المؤمن, the hadith says, فإنه ينظر بعين الله. These are awliyaullah. They look through the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not a physical eye. Please don't misunderstand. He inspires them, He gives them, He grants them these powers. And He does that to His awliya. إِلَّا الْمُتَّقُونَ إِنْ أَوْلِيَاؤُهُ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقُونَ. Taqwa, which is in the heart. You see? Taqwa is in the heart, not in the actions. It reflects itself in the action. How can I build it? Through the reflection, through reading. Read the Quran with reflection. Read dua with reflection. Seek knowledge. Through knowledge from the Quran, from the ahadith, through knowledge in general, we can purify the heart. And through that we can have the real taqwa, which is from the heart. These are the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst His awliya, to purify our actions, purify our minds and our hearts and our emotions. We ask him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. If there are any questions, we'll have a brief questions and answers. No questions? Yes. Ibn al-Dhabihain doesn't come to my mind. Yeah. Salamullah alayha. Yeah, maybe. I haven't come across that title. I will research and inshallah I'll try and find the answer. Any other question? Yeah. Yeah, inshallah. So the details of how do we behave, so that I clarify that I understand, how do we behave with our parents if one is practicing and his or her parents are either non-Muslim or non-practicing, they don't have the Islamic culture, how do we interact with them and how we, is that the... Yeah. 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 Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. So how do the children deal with those situations? If they are expected to be part of it, or in general? Okay. Inshallah, I'll try and elaborate on that one of those nights, inshallah, if I remember. Please send me a message about it, inshallah. That'll help me remember, inshallah. If there are no other questions, inshallah, we'll finish with recitation Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha for all our marhumin, including the marhumin of those who provide and who prepare these majalis. We send to them the rewards of Al-Fatiha ma'a salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman.